Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, back on F1 2021 as always, and today we are doing a 25% race at Brazil, which is a track I think isn't particularly popular on the games for some reason. I don't really see too many people doing Brazil, but obviously since we have Brazil today and this weekend, I thought why not do this? Starting from last, so we got 5 fights, starting on the medium tire, the alternate strategy, and I actually streamed these lobbies on my Twitch, which is in the description down below. So if you want to be part of this, subscribe to my Twitch and become a YouTube member. You'll get a priority invite to these lobbies. But you can see so far we are just letting the carnage as the Mercedes just absolutely destroys a few cars there. But yeah, as I said, if you're subscribed to me on Twitch as well as my YouTube membership, either one of those, you will get all access to my Discord, where you will be getting first priority invites to these lobbies. So I really hope people have found that useful so far. But in this here, we're just trying to navigate as usual through the traffic, and as usual again, we're going to be showing the full race, because I think I really executed this race pretty perfectly. So if you want to have an idea of how to do the perfect 25% race, then hopefully this video will help you out somewhat. And the setup I'm using here is actually exactly the same as my Brazil hot lap and setup as I did in my time trial series. The only thing I've changed is that I've made the on differential to 100 and the brake bias down to 50, which is now pretty standard since this latest patch. But holding it round the outside of Rubik's Cube, so nice racing wheel to wheel there. And now I'm behind NRX Chasta, who I know is a very good driver himself. So should be some good competition in this lobby, up into P10 already. But you can see there's a couple people in the lead who have actually managed to break away. So we'll just poke our nose in down the inside. This is one of these corners where you don't need to complete the move here, just put them offline, and then that means you can go around the outside and get the inside for the right hand, and then go down the inside of the McLaren. So just knowing when to attack, when to pick your moments. So as I said, when you go down the inside of the right hander, as we're going to get this guy and the Williams down the inside here as well, so making sure we're fully alongside, leaving some room on the exit, and that was a very
amazing.
Nice sequence of moves.
My TT setup just made a few changes, but it's really good.
So yeah, as I was just saying here, this is the same as my TT setup with those changes that I mentioned. So up into P7 now, so some very good progress in the space of 3 laps here. So now we're behind Mighty Swan, who is on the
save a bit of ERS now.
Soft tires. As we got the DRS, as I just said, we're just going to save the ERS. So just knowing when to be aggressive with it, knowing when to conserve it. You can see he's going out wide here, so we're not even going to use the ERS here because there's really no point at this stage. So I think this will be a textbook example. So going into here, get as close as you can into this corner. Want to go, make them think you're going down the inside, which puts them out wide. They stay tight. Then you go around the outside of a left-hander, which means you then get the inside for the right. And that's a move I really like to do around this track. So you don't need to be directly alongside or complete the move inside right-hander, but just put them offline, which then makes them go tight, which then puts them in a disadvantaged position. Then you can go around the outside, use the cab, and use the angle of the corner, and then you get the inside for that right-hander. That's a very good tactic I like to use for that corner. So now that's put us into P6 now, up behind Goxley 25, who is a YouTube member of mine, so you always usually get some of my lobbies.
2 people in the lead, massive lead.
And you can see the 2 people in the lead do have a very big lead at this stage, but you can see there's a bit of a squabble going up ahead here. So again, just being nice and patient.
Hopefully they're on softs.
Just trying to recoup the ERS once again. So coming through into the sequence, Goxley goes down the inside, so he's trying to complete the move. You can see that's what you want to try and avoid, because normally you can get caught by someone by doing that, but we're just going to go down the inside of this Red Bull. So again, being nice and decisive, he tries to hold it for the inside but can't make it done. But you can see by the Mercedes there, he tried to complete that move, and no, he did it successfully. But sometimes people like to really fight it, and then their front wing catches your rear tires, and then usually you spin. So I like to just try and put them offline and then do it the other way. I find it much more successful and much less risk of having a major incident as well. But now we're behind Websy, who is another YouTube member of mine, so races very, very regularly with me. A very nice guy, very good driver. He has a lot of penalties somehow at this stage, as I'm about to say, I believe.
13 seconds? How's he got 13 seconds?
So yeah, I'm not quite sure how he's got 13 seconds in 5 laps, but I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason for it. But see, coming into here now, just trying to set him up nicely. Really enjoy this corner. Really have to get the traction nice and early to rotate the car. I really like this track, actually, in fact. Although I haven't had great results around here in the past, I just really, really enjoy driving it. And I feel my pace is actually pretty good around this circuit as well. So coming off the exit here, we didn't use ES at the beginning, but then we decided to use it now because I wanted to try and get past Websy to avoid Goxie actually getting away. See, we've got some good straight line speed here. So good to go down the inside. He tries to hold it around the outside. We give him room on that apex. We get the move done. And
was that a warning?
Yeah, I don't know how that was a warning. I think my front tyres went off, but my rear tyres, I was pretty confident would have stayed on track. But nonetheless, that is 2 invalidations now. So cannot afford to get any more at this stage. And I believe we're just going to maybe try and save a bit of the ERS now as we are behind Goxie. But you can see Veloce Dragon, who is another regular in my lobbies. He isn't a YouTube member, but he always seems to get in my lobbies. He's up in P2, and I believe it's the Slap Bus on Softs who is actually leading this race. And as usual, Softs are a pretty powerful tyre, but the alternate strategy is pretty decent round here as well here. So see, we're not using any of the ERS.
I want to find out who's leading.
And because we've got the DRS on Goxie, so there's really no point to use it at this stage.
Slap bus.
As yeah, just confirming it is a Slap Bus who is in P2. But you've still got people like Chasta who aren't far behind. He's, again, a very, very fast driver, so I have to be a little bit wary of him. But at this stage now, all I'm looking to do is just save the ERS, and you can see his red light is actually flashing, so he is under 10%, so he's been pushing quite hard. So as we come up here, he actually decides to let me go.
Yeah, he's running low on ERS, so.
Which is probably... He didn't really need to let me go there, because he could have just waited to the straight, and I would have overtaken him, and then he would have actually got the DRS going down into the first sector. But I believe since he was so low in ERS, he just wants to stay in my DRS now and recoup the ERS that way. That is actually my second warning. So I thought that would have been the penalty, but that's actually the second warning I've got here now. So coming through into here, he's still in my DRS zone, so he's just going to try and use me to recoup, because it is much easier to recoup the battery when you're in the DRS. The engine doesn't have to work quite as hard. But coming through into here now, the gap is 3.2 seconds to the Slap Bus. We've got Goxie and Chasta, who is still right there. I can't afford to get any more warnings, so less than 50% distance, and we already have 2 invalidations. So if you get 3 seconds, then that really makes our race a lot more difficult than it needs to be here. But you can see we are starting to slowly close in on these top 2. I was trying to maybe get out of the DRS zone of Goxie behind, but I didn't really want to waste any of my ERS, because I want to try and exit the pits and the softs as close to 100% as possible. And since it isn't really hassling me behind, I don't really need to use that much of the ERS, but we do decide to use a little bit now just to give myself a bit of a boost of momentum going down the straight. Let's see if anyone does pit behind. Believe nothing. Goxie is actually pitted, so Goxie has pitted, so he's going quite bold on the strategy, and the softs could definitely make it to the end, but we're pushing a bit harder now because I want to try and get within the DRS zone of these guys up ahead to negate this undercut from Goxie. You can see Chasta now has a 3-second time penalty, and I was using the ERS there as well just to try and keep him out of the DRS zone. So that was the target. Now the goal was to try and catch up to these two, which we're doing very nicely at this stage. So far, so good. You see the tyres are starting to lose a little bit of wear, but they still should be in quite good shape. And you can see we are putting away from Chasta, regardless where the detection point is on the exit of this final corner, which we are just about to pass through now. So I tried to get the DRS zone, but we're not going to be close enough, which I don't think we are. But who pits? I think the slap bus does actually pit, but Veloce Dragon does have the DRS, so that helps him get out of my DRS zone once again. And then Chasta and everyone has pitted behind me now. Websy stays out, but I think towards the end of this race we will be in a very good position because we will have the fresher soft tyres. But also, since this track is so short, the undercut, I believe, is not as significant as it is round a much longer track such as Spa, where in the space of one lap you could be undercutted by 2 to 3 seconds or something like that. And plus the wear around here isn't that bad at all. So right now I'm just trying to get onto the back of Veloce Dragon and pass him as efficiently as possible without using any of the ERS, because we've had to push a little bit with the ERS sometimes. But I always like to try and exit the pits with as close to 100% as possible. So coming through into here now, does he pit? No, he doesn't pit. So he actually continues on for another lap, which is a little bit frustrating for me. So you could probably hear me tutting there, because I felt that I was faster than him, because I've actually caught him up, and now we're going to be losing quite a bit of time going through this middle and last sector. You see Goxie does the fastest lap of an 8.4, so a full second quicker.
I was really hoping he'd go in that lap.
Yeah, and just what I was saying there, I was really hoping, so maybe thinking about going to the inside here, but I believe we would just be losing too much time if we did do that. And we will be able to see hopefully next lap of how far Goxie is behind, because I probably want to go on for another lap as well.
Yeah, it's costing me a lot of time.
I felt quite confident that if I went an extra lap, even if they went to softs, I could still have quite a good pace on these mediums to really do a nice little charge back towards the end of the race here. So I'm not using any ERS on the exit here. We should be close enough to overtake as well. And let's see what he does. Does he pit this time? Yes, he does pit. So that's exactly
a super long lap again.
What I was looking for here. So see, I'm doing a 10.0 now. Now let's see what we can do. So coming through into here, managing to do this very nicely. We are on 2 warnings this race, so we cannot really afford to get any more warnings, otherwise we will get a penalty. You see Goxie with the purple line, because he's done the fastest lap, is up into P3 now with Chasta less than a second behind, but he does have a 3-second time penalty. But let's see and keep an eye on that gap. You can see Veloce Dragon is still coming out of the pits, and he is a little way behind, so we'll have to do a little bit of work if we want to try and get back in within this race. Goxie25, who I said is a YouTube member of mine, is a driver that's improving all the time, and he's becoming a very, very good driver at this stage. You can see he hasn't actually caught me that much on this lap, only 3/10, so I was confident that we would have the pace going towards the end of the race. So coming through into here, a very, very awkward pit lane. No real reference point to where to slow down for the pit limiter. So now we're coming to the AlphaTauri box. Got to put on some soft tyres, and you can see he is about to cross the start-finish line now. I think Chasta has just overtaken him for the lead of this race. a very, very difficult pit entry, but one I really enjoy. You really can make up a lot of time if you know this. Try and keep it completely flat. Just, didn't dare to do that on that occasion. Damage is off, but still, always like to practice what I do when it comes to the league race. And the gap is 2 seconds, so it isn't too bad at all. And you can see we've actually come out ahead of Veloce Dragon. Despite him pitting early for the softs, we've actually gone faster on our outlap for the mediums here. So now the goal here is to try and catch up to Goxie and Chasta without using much of the ERS. And you can see we are above 80% of the ERS, and you can see we gained about half a second go through into a purple middle sector already. So definitely having the pace, and we've already broken out the DRS zone of these guys behind. So I want to try and get onto the back of a Goxie with as much ERS as possible, because obviously when you're a third man in the DRS train, it's significantly harder to overtake. So the guy in the middle can really use himself, or use the guy ahead of him as a shield to defend against yourself. So you can see here, I think Goxie was thinking about maybe going down the inside. Now on this lap, you can see we're not using any of the ERS still. We're going to try and get within the DRS zone without using any of the battery power. So these are all the things that I always think about when I'm racing people. I always try and anticipate how much ERS that they have. And I know some people say to me, oh, you're saving far too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little. I always want to try and win the race as efficiently as possible. And if you make a mistake or something happens, then you have some extra ammunition in reserve, pretty much. That's the way I try and look at things. We have done exactly what we set out to do to get in the DRS zone, as we have done. See, Veloce Dragon, without the aid of the DRS, is falling back quite quickly and going across the line. We're doing 8.2 without really using much of the ERS on that lap. So now we've got to try and get past Goxie soon, because he doesn't have a time penalty. So we really need to beat him on track, as this guy is letting us pass. That's very, very nice of him, making sure he's staying way out of the way. But we've got to try and overtake Goxie before the last lap if we want a chance to actually win this race on track. So we're just going through some disconnected traffic once again, and this is always very, very frustrating when you're driving through a ghost car. But setting ourselves up very, very nicely. We have the most grip out of all these guys, and I felt my setup was working very, very well here. So trying to get a good exit coming off this corner. Do we maybe try and attack here? I don't think we do, so we're just going to leave it. Once again, let him use the ERS, which you can see he is definitely using the ERS. So his red light was flashing, so he is very, very low on the ERS. So I know that he will be struggling towards the end, as we have over 75% of the ERS to use here. But then Chasta is just going to get the DRS back on him. Is he going to overtake him once again? Yes, he does. Goxie has absolutely nothing to defend with, so he's in a bit of a poor position at this stage here. You can see with this red dot fashion, see how much more speed we have in a straight line. So are we going to do what we do going through this right-hander? Are we going to try and set him up? So yes, we do. We go down the inside, poking our nose in here, which then makes him go tight. So then we just do what we love to do as a tactic, go around the outside, so we get the inside for the right, and then we successfully pull it off again. I think that is 3 or 4 times that we've done that this race to people, and I really, really recommend people doing that. Hopefully the people you race against are clean, so they have to allow you a little bit of room, but I think that's a very, very good method to overtaking people around here. So now we're behind NRX Chasta. He doesn't have the DRS, so we're in a very, very good position at this stage here. So coming through into this turn 1, trying to get a good exit. I wasn't really interested in overtaking him going down into this corner, so we're just going to put on the DRS, but I think I actually turned it off. You can see the flap actually went down in my rear view, or the side mirror of my car. So again, we're just going to wait for this main DRS straight. So I believe that has a little bit more ERS in him. And you can see we've got 80% to use if you need to use it. No point going down the inside here, otherwise he would just get the DRS and it would make our lives a little bit more difficult going towards the end of this race. So coming through it here, just trying to be as close as we possibly can going through into this last corner. And as we enter this now, he decides to actually let me go. So playing a little bit of tactics, wants to let me go here. So I use a bit of the boost just so that when he does re-overtake me in the straight, he will be doing it ideally at the very end of the straight here. So he overtakes me. Does he go back to the racing line? Yes, he does. But then I'm going to have the DRS going through it here. So it's really crucial that we stay very, very close going through it here. So we use it coming out here. But then I decide to turn it off quite quickly because then I see his red light flashing. So I know he's in a very, very bad position here. So we're just going to try and stay as close as we can coming off the exit of this last corner. And with the DRS coming up to the line and with us having so much of the ERS to play with, as long as we get a good exit, we should be able to overtake him. But we need to be very, very close going through this last corner. So I don't think he's going to do the same thing again because he really needs to stay ahead. And even if he had the DRS, I think he wouldn't have enough battery power. So coming through into this last corner, we want to try and win this on track as well. So getting a very good exit using the overtake, but the overtake is powerful himself. When does that red dot flash? Now it's flashing. Now we've got the DRS. Let's see what we do. We're going to go around the outside to win this race on track. Was by a tenth of a second in the end. GG.
GG Chester, GG Goxie, Watcher Dragon Hooks.
Yep, GG to all those guys. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoyed the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend. Make sure you follow me on Twitch because I will be streaming on almost a daily basis of Xbox and PC lobbies, with PS4 lobbies coming very, very soon as well. Make sure you join my YouTube membership if you want access to my setups and all those benefits. So thank you so much, and I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.